Hi YouTubers, my name's Thor from Thor Designs Woodworking, and many of you are watching this video because you saw the headlines, the dangers of woodworking. So I'm here to tell you about that. Now, I have been doing woodworking for over 30 years and I've watched tons of videos just like you have, but there's one thing I've not seen. It's a video on the dangers of wood hoarding. Now, this is a very real issue. What I've found is many people get into woodworking and they start off in the simple things. They get the cheap stuff. They start out the pines, the poplars from the box stores, and they do that for a little while, and they start seeing how creative they can be, how awesome it can get. They start staining it different colors, but eventually they get numb to it. And when they get numb to it, they start seeking outside wood. And they start asking around, do you know anybody who's got the hard stuff? And eventually you're introduced to it. You know what I'm talking about. The walnuts, the cherries, the oaks. Now, let me tell you, once you get into that part, it is very addictive because you start not only just getting it, you start off with maybe a couple boards, and then those boards turn into truckloads of wood. And then you get to the point where you start gathering all your scraps and you don't throw anything away. And before you know it, you have mounds of scraps everywhere in your shop. Now let me tell you, this is what we call wood hoarding. And it's very, very addictive. You start seeing how beautiful the wood is, the wood grains, the walnuts, the colors, and then you start getting into the exotic stuff. You happen to walk into a woodcrafters and you see that there's exotic woods like zebra wood and paddock, all these beautiful species from other sides of the world. And you're thinking, I gotta have some of that too. And then it gets to the point where you've got so much of it and people start asking you about it. Look, what are you gonna do with all that? And you start thinking, I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna use it for something someday. Don't touch it. Don't get rid of it. And then it gets to the point where you have to see the warning signs. The warning signs are if your kids come in and they're wanting some scraps for maybe a project for school, and you tell them you can only have the scraps that's in the wood scrap bin, and you look in there and there's only 3 or 4 pieces. Or you start seeing that you come up with colorful names for your wood hoarding, such as wood refuge manager or general wood caregiver, stuff like that. And you're thinking, this can't happen to me. No, I'll never let that happen. I know my limits. I can quit anytime. Can you? Can you really? There's people who's watching this video who've been long-time woodworkers, and they will comment. This is absolutely true. Now, some of the things that you're going to see is the warning signs. The warning signs could be things like when you refer to your wood stash as my precious, or when you come home from work one day and you see all your family and friends gathered around the living room want to do an intervention, telling you how much they love you. Or when you have a barbecue at your house and your wife is sneaking scraps into the fire pit and you start freaking out. Now these are signs. These are very dangerous signs, ladies and gentlemen. Don't let that turn into obsession. Don't become a wood hoarder. They end up making a TV show about it. They walk into your shop and they're like, oh man, this guy's got wood galore. What are we going to do? We're going to have to thin it out. Don't become one of those people. So here, this being my first video, my next few videos, I'm going to teach you how to use those scraps. How to use that wood, turning it into something that you will love and cherish from generation to generation. Woodworking is an amazing thing. And I tell you, here in this shop, we've been doing this for decades. And I love it. And I do have a lot of scrap myself. And I'm going to show you how to turn that scrap into something beautiful. So stay tuned, keep following, and we'll keep this thing together. Thanks.